It is the 12th of July in the year of our Lord 2020. Season 10, episode 37. 533 times this face and or this voice has welcomed you to the Clubhouse Podcast. We are back in studio at Vocal Now in the North Dallas/Addison, Texas. It's a very special day. And we're going to talk. I'm already getting a little choked up, not going to lie to you. If you've been a fan of this show for a long time, you know what today is. And we're going to talk about that here in just a little while. Jen, Rome, and Alex both out on assignment today. My name is Rob. I am the executive producer of the Clubhouse Podcast. And man, I'm still trying to wrap my brain around what's coming tonight. Going into tonight's episode, I'm still trying to wrap my brain around it. To help me get through it all is the official fact checker of Sooner Gator Productions. And what you're about to see with him is what he gave me for my birthday. If you watched the Cheap Popcast, you saw it, but we're going to have it all for this show too. You may know him as Igbunu, but his mama named him Don Ford. I'm going to call him Don Ford. Hey, man.
Hey, man. Again, late happy birthday. And also from the fantastic Faith
Yes,
Ford.
thank you, Faith, for this.
Yeah.
That thing is amazing.
Yeah, it's huge. Where I got the box up. What?
The level of detail when you look at it.
But it's like huge. I mean, it's bigger than well, that's probably your biggest Funko. Probably.
It could probably, it's by far.
Oh, is it? Okay.
And I can guarantee you it's going to take up the entire passenger seat of my car driving home.
That's fine.
Tonight. So,
no,
I'm good with it.
Yeah,
Nobody should stop riding a car with me.
Yeah.
So we want to get a couple of things announced before we get into tonight's show. If we've talked on this show about a game show that I'm a contestant on twice a week. Not for the last few weeks. It's been a hiatus called Universal Remote.
Yeah.
Hosted by a friend of the show, Devin Pike. He's been on the show many, many times.
Oh, yeah. We love Devin.
Universal Remote kicks back up tomorrow night. It's only going to be once a week for a while on Monday nights. So you can go look up that Devin guy on Twitch, or you can look him up on YouTube as well. I play on the Twitch stream.
Okay.
But I'm currently the defending champion. Smartest man on the internet. Yep. So that'll kick back off tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern. So check that out. Also, if you missed it this week, I had my first round matchup in the cast-off playoffs with friend of the show, Craig Price. I lost in the tiebreaker.
Which was?
It's a long. Just go watch it.
Okay.
Go check out. Look up Matinee Heroes on Facebook, and that'll get you the link to the Twitch stream for cast-off, and you'll see how it all unfolded as we tried to recast Jurassic Park.
Oh, Lord.
Had a great time. I'm
still waiting for you guys to do The Room.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Spoon!
Not the same. And also, friend of the show, Chance Munsterman, who is, he and I have known each other forever and a day. He does a show twice a week called Live at Chance's House, which I want him to call it the Munster Mansion, but he won't do it.
Okay. Why do you want to call it the Munster Mansion?
Because his last name is Munsterman.
Okay.
So he does a show twice a week, and this month he's raising money for his friend Trent Adams, who's been having some health issues. So we want to make sure that we plug. He's out there raising money. So go check out Live at Chance's House. It's a great show he does a couple times a week where he talks to local musicians. He performs because he's in a band called Red Dirt Outlaws. They just dropped their first single called, I believe it's called Breaks. It's really good. Very much enjoyed it. So Chance, we're going to keep plugging away for you, brother. So we got you covered. Let's get into it. NASCAR today. We were in Kentucky. That's right. I
think I've been there once.
For the Quaker State 400, presented by Walmart.
Okay. Well, I can see Walmart as sponsor.
So, of course.
But I think I've been to Kentucky once. It's either that or Tennessee.
I've driven through it.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
10th place would be in the number 8 Chevrolet, Tyler Reddick.
Reddick.
Not the role played by Vin Diesel.
Or Reddit.
Correct. No, in 9th place in the number 2 Ford, Brad Keselowski. He finished right behind Eric Almirola in the number 10 Ford. In the 95 Toyota in 7th place, a new name that we haven't mentioned, Christopher Bell.
Okay. What are we going to do for him? Ding dong. Christopher Bell.
If he ever finishes very closely to first place, he will not have been saved by it.
Oh, ha!
The Stone, Ryan Blaney, comes in 6th place in the number 12 Ford. Kurt Busch in the number 1 Chevrolet in 5th place. Kevin Harvick, number 4 Ford, comes in 4th. Matt DiBenedetto in the number 21 Ford is in the bronze medal. Truex in the number 19 Toyota comes in the silver. And winning the game, what a great NASCAR name that we've never mentioned, number 41 Ford, Cole Custer.
That's like the pie.
He's cold, man. He's cold.
Cold Custer.
That's right. We like him.
Yeah.
All right.
Tasty.
Here is your points updates because we're still trying to get caught up, so we're doing 2 a week pretty much. If the playoffs started today, you would have a couple of people that would just barely miss it. The aforementioned Tyler Reddick is right now 16 points out of the 16th slot, but he is 10 points behind Eric Jones. And Eric Jones is looks like 6 back on Austin Dillon, attorney. Oh, Austin Dillon's the new sheriff in town.
Yeah.
Okay. Dillon is 30 points behind 7-time champion Jimmy Johnson, who is out right now. He has tested negative for COVID, so he'll be back soon.
I saw a thing on that. Yeah.
He's also sticking his toe in the water with Formula One.
Really?
Talking about being a Formula One driver. Johnson is 2 points back on the poet, William Byron. Byron is a whole bunch back. He is 18 points back on Bowyer. Bowyer is 3 back on Di Benedetto. Di Benedetto is 44 points back on Kurt Busch. So he's got some ground to gain. Busch is 4 back on his brother Kyle. Kyle is 4 back on Almirola. Now we're going to get into the top 8, which looks like right now these people are in bold, so I'm wondering if they're only going to go to top 8 this year.
Well, if they do top 8, still it's the points reset at the
right. But these people are in bold, so I don't know if that means are they going to be only going to do 8 this year? I don't know. But in 8th place right now, let's
bold
see,
and beautiful.
6 points ahead of Almirola is the archer Alex Bowman. Bowman is 30 points back on Truex. Truex is 26 back on Logano. Joey Logano is only a point back on Denny Moons over my Hamlin right now. Hamlin is 6 back on the Stone. The Stone is 35 back on Keselowski. Keselowski currently 3 back on Chase Elliott, attorney at law. And Chase Elliott is now 85 points back on Harvick. Harvick kind of running away with it right now.
So I got a question.
Yeah.
So these guys are going 200 miles an hour on this track.
Plus,
right?
Yeah.
Okay. Easy. Let's just make it easy.
Okay.
200. What do you think it's like when they get out, they get done with the race and all that, then they get in their little Prius and have to go 35 miles
That is a great question. I'm glad you asked. I actually know the answer to this.
Okay.
Because this was asked of a bunch of drivers. Just over the years of things I've watched. They don't drive their own cars.
They don't.
Somebody else drives them because there's so much compression that they've been through that they have to decompress. So somebody else drives them to the hotel or to the airport.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. That's how they deal with that.
Okay, because even after a race, they're going 200 miles an hour.
Well, I mean, I know what it's like when I'm driving, on a 70-mile-an-hour interstate and it drops to 40.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm crawling.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's basically the way it works. They just have somebody else drive them so that way they can kind of decompress a little bit.
But then when they get home, it's just you're below nowhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to see the ride on mower some of these guys own. That's all I want to see. Race those things. All right, so coming up, we've got 3 races over the next 7 days. Coming up on Wednesday at Bristol, you're going to have the All-Star Open, and then an hour and a half later, you're going to have the actual All-Star race, both at Bristol. The All-Star Open is 85 laps, so a little over 45 miles, and then the All-Star race itself is 140 laps. It's just a hair under 75 miles. So this is going to be a real quick one on Wednesday. Then next Sunday, next weekend is Texas Motorsports Weekend. So if you're in the Fort Worth side of things, get ready because it's about to get real for you. At Texas Motor Speedway, the O'Reilly Auto Parts 500. This is normally the April race.
Yeah.
So we're in makeup season at this point.
So they're not only a couple people in, basically.
I don't know what number they're up to at this point. And then after that, they're racing on Thursday the 23rd. And that will be at Kansas, that's only about 5 hours up the road. And that'll be the aptly named Kansas 400. So I guess the whole state's sponsor in the race. And then they're going to be off that weekend. And then the following Sunday, heading to New Hampshire. That's where we're at right now as we close in. On the playoffs will start Sunday, September 6th. So that'll be Labor Day weekend. So get ready for that. And it looks like, do we have the other Texas race? The Texas 500 will be October 25th. So a little bit earlier than normal for Texas Motor Speedway this year. Usually it's that first weekend in November.
Yeah.
They're backing
Let's get
it up
all
a
out
little
of
bit.
whack right now.
And November 1st is Martinsville. So they're not even, actually November 8th will be, it's not. Normally we end at Homestead in Miami. This year we're ending in Phoenix on November 8th.
Okay.
So a little bit different for NASCAR this year. Let's keep talking sports a little bit. Major League Baseball wants to start the 2021 season on April 1st. So end on Halloween. Let's turn it right back around. But the interesting thing is, you realize next year is the 20th anniversary of 9/11.
Yep.
Your 9/11 primetime game has been announced. Yankees-Mets.
Why not?
I am on board.
Series.
I can't wait to see what those uniforms look like. I bet they're going to be amazing. I'm sure they're going to auction them off for charity afterwards. So
maybe they might wear the same exact what they wore during that time, that year.
And you're a bit of a baseball guy.
Yeah, a little bit.
Remember the 1986 Miracle Mets?
Yeah.
They are going to get a multi-part 30 for 30 coming up. That was announced this week. So your next big 30 for 30 is going to be the 1986 Miracle Mets, which I'm very excited about. And 30 for 30 podcast debuts their new season this week. And it's about the gymnastics trainers, you can do it, him and his wife.
Okay. Oh, really?
Yes.
I just saw that Netflix thing on the athletes. And
it's a multi-part, but I think they're dropping them all on the same day.
Really? Yeah,
So.
that Netflix show about the athletes and stuff and that cover up. Oh, Lord.
There's a lot going on with the Netflix right now.
Oh,
man.
yeah.
I'll tell you
Well,
what.
of course, their viewership is probably through the roof right now. Because,
absolutely.
Yeah. So,
I think they said, I was listening to an interview with Greg Rucka yesterday. He's a comic book artist. He's the guy that just did that The Old Guard with Charlize Theron.
yeah.
He says that I think he said Netflix is in 171 countries, and he gave the number of subscribers like it was ridiculous.
I believe it.
Let's see. MLS, the FC Dallas is out of the MLS is back tournament after almost 20 positive cases for COVID-19. Them and Nashville both out of the tournament now.
Ow.
So
What do you do?
a lot going on there at Disney World right now.
And then wait till baseball and see what happens there. If you get a pandemic on one team, watch out.
So let's get the biggest chunk of sports this week is football. And we're going to start with college. Then we'll go to the NBA. We'll come back to the NFL. The Ivy League has said they are not going to consider any live sports, period, until at least January 1st. And really for the Ivy League, spring sports are more important to their revenue than fall sports. Because, they have a football team.
Yeah.
But
When has Harvard been in the running?
it did produce, I believe, Ryan Fitzpatrick.
I'm just saying, but when has it been in the running? Yeah.
But they've canceled all fall sports, and as has the CIAA as well. The Big Ten and the Pac-12 are only going to play in conference in football this year.
So how many games are they going to do then?
They're going to do 10, but they're going to play everybody.
Oh, wow.
In their conference. But it's some of it's weird because you've got, geographically it's still weird because you've got in the same conference, especially with the Big Ten, you've got Nebraska and you've got Michigan. I think the big person on the outside looking in right now in that whole deal is Notre Dame. Join a conference. That's all I'm saying. All of your rivals are in the Big Ten. You can work a deal out where you can have your NBC contract. You need to join a conference. If there's ever been a case for it, we're looking at it right now. The Pac-12 has, of course, also announced they're going to be doing the same thing. So the SEC is meeting tomorrow on the future of their sports. The Big 12 and the ACC, which are the other two Power 5 conferences, they're not going to be meeting until the end of the month. And I have no doubt in my mind that when the Big 12 makes their announcement, there will be discussion right here on the Vocal Now Network with the host of Big 12 Talk,
of course,
Jay Gillespie, who's out in the hallway. Jay, are you prepared?
Oh yeah.
I really want to talk to Jay because Jay really, we give Jay grief because of Big 12 Talk.
First
but
off,
Jay knows what he's talking about.
Yeah,
And so that's why I'm kind of glad Jay's here because I want to get his input. Just from a 10,000-foot level, Jay, do you see the Big 12 following suit with the rest of everybody? Do you see them going off the beaten path? What are your initial thoughts on where you think the Big 12 is leaning right now?
I would probably have to say that they are following at least Big Ten. I would say to me, it kind of makes sense. I actually had this discussion last night with a friend of mine. TCU, for example, that's my alma mater.
Mm-hmm.
You can pretty much play in all of your opponent's stadiums, and you can bus there. Not all of them, but the majority of them. Texas, everywhere in Texas, Oklahoma, maybe K-State, University of Kansas in Lawrence, Iowa State. Iowa State's probably the only one. And then maybe the Kansas schools. But
you can still bust that. I mean, that's only 5 hours from Dallas, so you're looking at a full day's drive from Austin.
They probably they plane.
We're just saying from the standpoint of the world we live in.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I mean, this is again more TCU related, but TCU plays SMU. That's 40 minutes away. So the majority of the games, that you'll play, Texas A&M. Some of the other schools play Texas A&M. Louisiana, LSU, right? That's 6, 7, 8 hour drive. So, and less for some other schools like UT. So I think they will follow suit. It'll be interesting to see. With I believe it was Alabama was initially going to play. Who are they going to play? USC, right, in the beginning, but that got canceled. Mm-hmm. And TCU was going to play Cal for the first game of the season, but that got canceled. So I would really like to see TCU play Alabama because they were both going to play in Jerry World.
But that's still out of conference, though.
It is. No, I know. I was kind of wishing and hoping that they would play, but yeah, I mean, I think at this point they're probably going to take the path of least resistance. They're going to go. They're going to follow what the other conferences did, and unfortunately, we won't see out of conference play this year, but it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see how all these teams deal with it, and it won't be much different, like I said, because I mean everyone plays their own majority of the games regular season without COVID. They play they play their in conference opponents. So I mean, other than like the first game of the year, the second game of the year for most schools, it's pretty much gonna be, like I said, conference play the entire time. So
I think for me, what I'm intrigued by is I think for the first time, at least as long as I can remember, you could really have a clean cut playoff system, because you can take the champions of your Power 5 conferences, add one more team at an at-large bid. Maybe, I mean, you could probably do 3 and have an 8-game playoff. Or you could just grab one at-large and have a 6 with your top 2 buys.
So my question is, are they going to have the 58 bowl games this year?
You're not going to have the capacity. You're just
That's
not.
The thing.
But I think you could still do certain things with, and we're going to talk a little bit about some other things coming up, that something else that got canceled, but the participants are still going to get paid for it. But I really think that you can now have a clean-cut playoff, because you'll have a champion, a true champion in every Power 5 conference, because they have beaten everybody in their conference, not just everybody in their division.
So you say you want to extend it to an 8-game playoff?
I think you can this year, because you're going to have your Power 5 conferences, and then you could have 3 at-large bids, which I think is fair for people like the MEAC and the WAC and whatever, the American Athletic Conference, which is what the Big East is now. I think that this is viable. I don't know that it's a sustainable model, just because you have a lot of these schools that are going to miss out on some serious revenue because they don't get to play the Texas or the Alabama that would get them, when you get paid to get whooped up on, which I still don't agree with, but that's a whole different issue.
Yeah.
Because you're getting the national exposure. I think that this could be an interesting test market for at least an 8 playoff. And I've always said, or I wouldn't say always, but in recent years, I've said that 8 is a good number. I think 4 is, it gets a little sticky because you get that odd man out. I think 8 is a good number, and that this can be the testing ground for what comes later. When the NCAA says, you know what, this is viable, let's do it this way, which is what I've said for years. It should be like basketball.
Should be 8, yeah.
You win your conference, you're in, and then you have your at-large bids.
Yeah. And the thing is, you look at the 64. That's, oh my God, the March Madness. I mean, no one debates who the champion is.
But you can't do that with football. It's
I know,
I
can't do 64, but I'm still saying an 8. Yeah. Mm-hmm. When you have a playoff system, a true playoff system, and then, basically the coach's opinions are thrown out the window when it happens on the field, which is the way it should be, is what's most important. You
But
win.
you still have to look at things like strength of schedule and things, because you can't beat Sister Mary's College for the Blind in a Walmart parking lot and be one of the best teams in the country.
Well, exactly.
I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
You want to be what do Flair say? You want to be the man? You got to beat the man.
Exactly. But,
So play up your game.
Yeah.
Florida State announces day before yesterday, they are cutting their entire athletics budget 20%, including salaries for football and men's and women's basketball.
What do you mean salaries? Salaries for what? The coaches?
Coaches.
Okay. Yeah, they're going to take a
20%
hit.
cut across the board.
How much money do they make on attendance at these games?
Well, that's a great question,
Yeah.
because that brings me into I don't know if you saw the Stanford story this week. Jay, did you see this?
And keep in mind, all they have to do is pay the coaches and all that. They're not paying the
Well,
salaries.
but there's scholarship money too.
I did.
You saw the Stanford story this week? Jay?
You said he did.
Okay, I was making sure, because we were talking two different things.
Yeah.
Stanford is going to cut 11 sports after the 2021 season. They're cutting wrestling, which is big for them, field hockey, men's and women's fencing, lightweight rowing, men's rowing, co-ed and women's sailing, squash, synchronized swimming, and men's volleyball. All gone. They are still going to honor the current scholarships and coaches' salaries, but they're not adding any new ones, which is supposed to save them, allegedly, over the following 3 years, is supposed to save them $70 million.
Okay.
And this is a big hit for a school like Stanford that isn't one that necessarily has those spotlight sports.
Yeah, but getting rid of wrestling? Oh, man.
But that for Stanford, that's big.
Yeah, I know. It's like, why?
So this is showing you how this is affecting everything, especially from a collegiate standpoint. I'm still not sure, and I'm just going to say this, and Jay, I'm interested in your opinion here too. I'm not sure we have college football this year.
I wouldn't doubt it.
The Dallas Independent School District Superintendent comes out on Thursday and says he does not see high school football in the state of Texas in the year 2020.
Yeah.
He says that the internet goes crazy.
Yeah.
Because as people know, Texas high school football is a whole different ballgame. It gets its own
Friday night
section in the paper,
Yeah.
in the Friday paper. Jay, what do you think the chances are that we don't see college football this year?
I mean, that's a good question. I still feel I feel like it's as of right now a generally low chance that you don't see it. I mean, unless something major happens, in the next month or two, which it could. But you take a look at some of the other, and again, these are professional leagues, but MLB, they're fighting through some kinks here and there, but they're still moving forward with the date that they originally set. And
week after next.
What's up?
Week after next.
Yeah. No. So, and NFL. I mean, again, these are professional leagues, but college. I mean, I feel like there's going to be with some of these other sports coming back into motion. I feel like there's going to be some hopefully some positive vibes, and you'll get it. Obviously, fans in the stands, right? It's out of the question essentially, but I think Big 12, right? Mostly in the South, Big 12, SEC, Big 10, the big time conferences, I still think will move forward and will play. So to answer your question, like 30-40%.
I'm 70-30 in favor of it happening right now.
Yeah.
I think it's about where I sit.
Yeah.
Now, think what happens if they cut the season, though. What's going to happen to the draft next year? The NFL draft.
Well, you've also got to look at the other sports too,
Yeah.
because you're looking at the NHL season ending and the NBA season ending at the end of October. They're talking about having their draft 2 weeks later, because if you're going to start the NHL season on December 1st or the NBA season, you've got to have time to go through camp and everything else. So there's a lot going on here that we're going to keep you guys updated here on the Clubhouse Podcast as much as we possibly can. I want to talk a little bit about the NBA. There's been a lot of reports as teams go into the bubble. Let me explain something to you.
Uh-oh.
Even if you are staying in a lower tiered Disney resort, you are still staying in a Disney resort. These athletes complaining about the conditions And yeah, because a lot of it's because their houses are nicer than these hotel rooms. Fight through it, okay? Fight through it for a couple of months if you want to play your sport. If you don't, you can hop on a plane. It's
go
cool.
home. No one's going to force you to
There's
play.
a lot of people a lot worse off than you. I think it was J.R. Smith saying, "Oh, you want a Ferrari to run like a Ferrari, you got to feed it like a Ferrari." I'm sorry. Your league is doing the best it can to put product on the court. There's a whole nother organization that had a 64 team or something tournament called the basketball tournament. Had their semifinals today. Winning team gets to split $1 million. They've been going every day.
So you're going to tell me they're staying at Disney and they're complaining because it's not the Four Seasons?
Yeah, pretty much. Because my wife and I, when we went to Disney on our honeymoon, we stayed, Don, easy. We stayed at a value resort, and it was nice. I enjoyed it.
A lot of times they stay at Hilton's or whatever anyways when they're on the road, DoubleTree, whatever.
So suck it up, Buttercup. I have no sympathy for this. People were showing footage of, look at the food they gave us. And the food that they had at the time was not great. But what they didn't bother to say was those were meals that were given to them right off the plane to hold them over while their meals were being prepared.
Oh, my God.
So let's not overreact, Internet. I know it's hard. But let's start getting an entire story before we make a judgment. Because there's other guys in the league that are like, this is great.
Yeah, you're staying at Disney and
and like one guy opened up his closet and there was a stack, I'm not kidding you, 2 feet high if it was nothing, of just polo t-shirts that they could wear. And he's like, this is great.
Now, I'm on board. I understand if you're going to be there for a month and you don't have a little fridge in the room. I can understand, hey, it'd be nice to have a fridge for certain things since I'm going to be staying there long term.
Yeah, but even if they don't have that, it's a phone call away, brother. It's a phone call away. You've got room service whenever you want it. It's Disney.
Hello. And they have a job. Talk to the people who lost their job because of this pandemic.
We mentioned earlier the NHL wants to start their season, the 2021 season, on December 1st. So they're going to turn it right back around. Finish the Stanley Cup, and here we go. Tennis. As we know, Wimbledon got canceled.
Wow.
But everyone that qualified for Wimbledon is going to get a check.
Okay.
So if you are in the main draw singles, men's or women's, $32,000. Here you go.
There you go.
Have a nice day.
Be nice.
Take home about 20. You're good.
Okay.
Speaking of things.
Oh no.
One thing that you will never hear Patrick Mahomes say for the rest of his natural life. Somebody got the check? I don't know if you saw this deal come down Monday, Don.
No.
Patrick Mahomes. Jay, did you die when you heard this story, the Patrick Mahomes story?
I was pretty...
You're muted. I think you're muted right now.
I'm back.
There
now.
you go.
Okay, the guy who signed the big deal.
Don't. If you haven't seen it, don't look it up.
Okay.
What did you think when you saw this, Jay?
You're talking about his deal.
The Patrick Mahomes deal. Yeah, I haven't said. Don hasn't heard it. Don, don't look it up.
I'm looking at something else.
I mean, I was pretty excited.
So Patrick Mahomes has 2 years left on his rookie deal.
Okay.
He is making around what I think they said it was like 12 to 16. It's 13 million a year because there's 26 million left on it.
Okay, and he's the guy with the Kansas City Chiefs,
Correct.
the quarterback,
Super Bowl champion.
Yeah, for the people who don't know, they're trying to remember, he's
second generation professional athlete.
Okay, so just inform the people at home.
He signed a contract extension on Monday.
Okay.
With the Chiefs.
Yep.
For 10 years through the 2031 season.
Okay.
$503 million. Did you see how much is guaranteed?
No.
$477.
Sorry.
$477 million are guaranteed in this contract. As long as he makes the roster every year, money.
So
no opt-out clause, from what I've heard.
So what happens if he has a Joe Theismann?
If he's on the roster, he's getting paid.
But it says guaranteed. So what happens?
Do you remember what the terminology was, Jay? It was like guaranteed mechanisms or something like that. It's something I've never heard before.
Let's say in year 2 he breaks his leg and he can never play again, which could happen.
If it's possible.
Yeah.
But I'm sure they've got
Does
that
he-
all worked out in
yeah,
the contract.
Okay. Yeah. Is he still going to get $400 more million over the next 8 years? Even
I don't know if it's a Bobby Bonilla situation. If you know what that is, watch the show from 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I learned what the what was it?
Bobby Bonilla Day.
Yeah, exactly.
$503 million. And you know what's weird though? Because I was starting to explain this to my wife. In 2 years, he quadruples his paycheck. Think about it. $26 million over 2 years. He's going to make $100 million over 2 years on the new deal.
Poor guy.
Now,
He'll be on food stamps.
here's my guarantee.
Okay.
And Jay, I want you to hear me on this. By year 6 of this contract, he is not the highest paid quarterback in the league. This has brought a precedent to a whole new level. Because if you remember when A-Rod signed with the Rangers, 10 years, $262 million. We didn't know what to do with ourselves.
Yeah.
We're like, that's way too much money. This is double that.
So, question.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think the chances are in 6 years from now he's not even playing for the Chiefs?
I don't think it exists. I think he's gonna be that quarterback that is known for a team and does not leave that team.
Okay.
He is so ingrained in Kansas City culture at this point, and he and Andy Reid have such an amazing relationship. The two of them led that team to and won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And just did it convincingly. The same way every playoff game. Go down a couple touchdowns, win by 3. Like this team is built for a long run. And I couldn't happen to a nicer kid. I like Mahomes. I think he's a great kid. It's weird that I'm old enough to say that, but they got him locked down for a long time.
Yeah.
The Baltimore Ravens are only allowing 17,000 people for each game. It's going to be a drawing. Season ticket holders have the first dibs. But here's the thing. If the season ticket holders aren't among the 17,000 that get the tickets, they're guaranteed 2021 season tickets, regardless.
Yeah.
If they decide, if I'm a season ticket holder and decide, you know what, I don't even want to mess with it, we're cool, they automatically get upgraded season tickets for 2021.
See ya.
So shout out to Baltimore for taking care of their fans. Jacksonville looking at 25% capacity starting next month, which is about the same number of people given the size of, is that TIAA Bank? No, that's the one in Baltimore. Can't remember what the Jacksonville one's called.
The stadium?
Yeah. Randall Cunningham this week. I don't know if you know this, but he founded a church in Las Vegas. He is the pastor. He was named the chaplain for the Raiders. So Randall Cunningham getting back involved with the NFL. Very excited. I like Randall Cunningham a lot. Quality human. And I'll wait for Don because I really want him to focus on this next story.
Hold on one second. I'm trying to hold on.
Hey, Jay, have you heard this this escrow story?
I have not.
Okay, wait till you hear this because this is going to blow your mind.
TIAA Bank. TIAA Bank.
Oh, it's M&T Bank is Baltimore.
Okay.
That's what it is. TIAA Bank is Jacksonville. So the owners have sent a proposal to the players this week because of adjusted revenues and things like that.
Who's this?
The owners
Of which?
of the NFL.
Okay, all the owners, all 32.
They have asked the team, the players,
Yeah.
to take 35% of their salary and put it into an escrow. Alex calls and tells me this. Get it at the end of the season. Great. There was a piece of this story that I don't know if Alex didn't know or if he didn't tell me. That's not the way it works. What the owners are asking, stay with me. There's a little bit of math involved here.
Oh, boy.
They're saying, yes, we would like you to take 35% of your revenue, of your salary, and put it into this escrow account, which we will give you back at the end of the season unless there is a revenue drop.
Oh, dear God.
If we lose 10% of our revenue, we're going to take that 10% out of this escrow and give you the leftovers.
Oh, dear God.
And so on and so forth. And if there's more than a 35% drop in revenue, the players don't get that money back. That's a hard pass.
Why are they playing these games? I mean, they're going to lose because how many people are there?
They're insured for this money. They have to be.
What do you mean they're
Because if
insured?
I'm the teams are insured if they lose money. You're not just going to be living on the street. These owners aren't going to be broke anytime.
Oh, I know
soon.
that, but they're going to lose money because of the tickets sales and all that stuff and everything. Let's just be honest.
But
they're going to take a hit, but they're not going to be on welfare.
But let me ask you this. What happens, and I know the likelihood of this is slim, what happens if you have an increase of revenue? Do I get my 35% plus interest on what you made back? Because that's only fair.
Yeah.
Now, the likelihood of that happening at this point is slim to none.
They'll do the math where they're going to lose. Yeah.
Right. Now, if you were going to pay me interest on that money in escrow, we can talk about that. But if you're telling me I've got to give you up to almost 4/10, think about that. If the league minimum is $500,000, let's just say the league minimum is $1 million to make it easy. You're asking me to give you $350,000, hoping that this team doesn't lose revenue. So at the league minimum of $500,000, it's $175,000. Public school math. What's up? This is nothing short of bonkers to me.
2019 is 860,000.
So 860,000, and multiply that by 0.35.
Yeah.
You're still looking at about $100,000 probably.
300,000.
$300,000.
301 to be exact.
301. So I wasn't even close. Public school math. $301,000. You're telling me I'm just going to give you, and you're going to give it back to me in 4 months as long as the team doesn't lose money. You are out of your cotton-picking mind. You're insane. How about you take the hit? Because, I don't know, you own the team. That's insane.
I can understand doing what they're doing at the NFL, the NBL, Major League Baseball, saying, hey, if you don't want to play, you don't have to play. We understand. But number two is, it's going to be a shortened season, what have you. It's a little bit different.
But that's the thing. The NFL's not talking about shortening the season.
Oh, Lord.
We're going to play 17 games.
Well, they did cut one, the Steelers, Cowboys preseason.
But that's a preseason game. And the players have said, because the owners have said, how about 2 preseason games? The players have said, how about 0 preseason games? Which I think is a mistake because you've got to have that ramp-up time before you take the field.
Yeah,
especially as much time as you don't spend in pads.
Exactly. And you want to see how the preseasons is to make the final cuts anyways.
This is insane.
Oh, poor Jerry.
Well, we'll keep you updated as this thing, because we're only 2 weeks away, allegedly, from training camp.
And
we'll see.
We'll see if he ends up applying for welfare.
Some TV news. Let's get into TV news, because we talked pop culture on this show, too. Did you enjoy the Wonder Years when we were kids?
I can't stand Fred Savage.
I love that show so much.
I hated him.
ABC is going to reboot it in the same time frame with an African-American family.
Okay.
Which I think is interesting because it's going to give a completely different look on that era.
What year was the 60s?
It was the 60s, in the mid-late 60s.
All right.
I loved the Wonder Years. Such a great show.
Depends what part of the country.
Olivia Dabo, how you doing? Lee Daniels, the guy that did The Butler, is going to produce it.
Okay.
So I'm very interested in this. So we'll see how that works out. The CW has not only renewed Stargirl for season 2, but they're going to take it off of DC Universe and put it on the CW proper. So they're going to take it off the pay app
and put it
on regular TV.
Okay.
So it's doing really well.
That's nice of them.
Did you remember the show that CBS did called God Friended Me? Lasted 2 seasons.
I think I saw part of it or something.
Saw commercials or in football.
Yeah.
One of the co-stars of that, Javicia Leslie, is going to be your new Batwoman.
Okay.
She, a character by the name of Ryan Wilder.
Are you happy with that?
I never watched season 1
okay.
because I don't get the CW on AT&T TV now,
okay.
and they only go back 3 episodes. So it's just like I can't even go watch an entire season. I have to do it on Netflix, and I just don't have that kind of motivation. Okay. I will say I've watched the first 2 episodes. I'm 1 episode behind as we get into HBO because Fox has renewed The Moody's for season 2. Heard good things about that show. HBO has canceled. They had a show called Run that was about 2 people that used to date a long time ago, and it's kind of one of these. One of them texted the other one "run," and that they made an agreement when they.
I watched like 2 of those, and that was
it's been canceled. But I will say I watched the first 2 episodes. I'm 1 episode behind of the new Perry Mason.
Yeah.
I love it.
So I like it.
It is bananas.
But that run, I watched about 2 episodes and that was it.
So they canceled that. But they are also, if you remember, we had our Oscar pick show.
Yeah.
The Oscar and the animated short Hair Love.
All right.
the one that won.
Okay.
HBO is going to do a series, an animated series based on it called Young Love.
Okay.
So we're looking forward to that coming very soon. HBO Max has renewed Legendary for season 2. That's kind of
I have that. I like HBO Max.
it's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they're also going to be doing a spin-off series when the new Batman releases about the Gotham City Police Department.
Yeah.
All right, hear me. Hear me, HBO Max. Stay with me now. Please do Gotham Central. If you're a comic book fan, you know what I'm talking about. Gotham Central was the guy that did that Netflix movie we were talking about earlier, The Old Guard, Greg Rucka. He did this series called Gotham Central. It was a comic book series, and it was amazing. Do Gotham Central if you're going to do this, okay? Let's see, where are we? Check this documentary out, Don. Coming HBO Max, I think next year.
Real fast, I want to talk about, because we saw the ads for it. For the Alienist season 2.
Yes, on TNT.
Yeah, on TNT. So we never watched the first season. So that was on HBO Max, and that's where.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah, because
let's say it's Warner Brothers.
Yeah, because we're watching AEW. I was watching AEW, and it says catch up on season 1 on HBO Max. And since I have the subscription through AT&T Uverse, I get the free HBO Max.
Right.
So that's where we watched it on the TV, and we got season 1 down, and we're interested in season 2. So.
Do you remember, this was up kind of in the Northeast, so you might have heard of this. There was a water park called Action Park.
Something.
It was open from 78 to 96.
Okay.
A lot of lawsuits about dangerous rides.
Oh, I think. Oh, yeah. Okay.
HBO is doing a documentary about it called Class Action Park. Apparently, this story is nutsoid.
Okay.
So I'm always up for crazy amusement park documentaries. Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to this.
Did you watch the never mind. But I was going to say.
Did not watch Tiger King, no.
But I do like those HBO series I've been doing. They just had the new one just started, but they had
about Patton Oswalt's wife.
Yeah, then they had the McMillions before that.
McMillions was so great.
And here's why: if you have Showtime, that Outcast. We saw the first one. I mean, Outcry about the football player in the in Austin area who was in high school who was accused of sexually molesting a kid.
Oh, really?
And it's like, yeah, it's just started. If you have Showtime.
Well, I think eventually that's going to wind up. Showtime's going to wind up with the Viacom's going to do their own app, and then because I don't have Showtime, so
yeah. But we watched the first one, and it's like a 6-part series also, and it's like, whoa, okay, did this guy do it or not? This high school.
I know you're a big fan of things like that because you're the one that turned me on to, what was that documentary series that you let me borrow on DVD?
Oh, hold on, about the Westminster 3.
The Memphis 3.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Not
Paradise Lost.
Paradise Lost.
Paradise
yes.
Lost.
Okay. But HBO Max also looking to do a new Constantine movie. Because I didn't really dig the Keanu Reeves one. I love the TV series.
Okay.
So I'm hoping they bring that forward too.
Okay.
Nat Geo is apparently doing Shark Fest. What happened to Shark Week?
No, that's Discovery.
But I haven't heard anything about Shark Week yet. I'm hearing Shark Fest everywhere, but nobody's talking about Shark Week.
Well, Shark Week is a different time of the year. They only do once
it's in July.
No,
Shark Week's always in July.
Hold on. Discovery Shark Week?
Yes.
Okay.
And as we learned from The Office, you treat every week like it's Shark Week.
Let me do that.
As Don's looking up, let's talk some NBC headlines real quick. The future of Brooklyn Nine-Nine right now is uncertain given everything going on in the world. They're having some trouble finding funny in their format, which I understand. We're going to get a reboot of The Weakest Link, Don.
Are we? Oh, no, not that show.
NBC's doing it with Jane Lynch, which is kind of a weird choice for me for that role, but I'll roll with you.
Yeah, I think it was July. Okay, you're right.
Netflix has renewed Dead to Me for a third and final season. It's a series they just finished season 2.
Dead to Me?
Dead to Me. It's Christina Applegate, I believe, is in that with Linda Cardellini.
So we're always interested in me and the Fantastic Four for something new.
And they have also canceled, to a lot of people's shock, they have canceled The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina.
What's that Netflix?
Called Dead to Me.
Dead to Me.
They're going to air the final episodes later this year. There were plans for a crossover with Riverdale, but now they're not sure that's going to happen. You talked about Showtime earlier. Do you remember Lena Horne, the singer?
Yeah.
She had an amazing life, and Showtime is working on a limited series about her life called Blackbird, Lena Horne in America.
All right.
So I'm very much that might be something that might pull me into Showtime. I've heard good things about Black Friday too. I want to check that with Don Cheadle and Paul Scheer. Stars.
No, are you talking Black Monday?
Is it Black Monday?
Black Monday.
Okay.
I've watched every episode. They just started the new season up. They pushed it because of the pandemic. But
Okay,
yeah.
Paul Scheer is he hosts one of my favorite podcasts.
Oh, does it? Okay.
So,
Black Monday.
Stars is working on a Power spinoff called Power Book 2 Ghost. It's going to premiere in September.
So what's that one about? Because
Ghost is one of the characters on.
Oh yeah,
Power.
the Fantastic Four loves Power.
Yeah. So
it's a story about
that's all
Ghost.
I know. Yeah, it's all about Ghost.
Okay. All right.
And TBS coming on Friday. This is kind of weird. They're debuting a new show. It's a skills competition with elimination challenges virtually called The Sims Sparked. This is all competitions that will take place inside the video game of The Sims.
Okay.
With people who are famous for playing The Sims because
But the weakest link coming back.
Yeah, with Jane. I just can't see Jane Lynch being that serious. She's Jane Lynch and she's awesome, but
these game shows, I mean, they fill time, you know, and you don't have to, get a bunch of crew.
Can we bring back Tic-Tac-Toe?
I love that show.
The
dragon.
Like they did the Joker's Wild with the Snoopy Dog, and that was okay. But I wanted can I get Card Sharks?
Maybe.
Can I get Scrabble?
I think they did a reboot of Card Sharks.
New Scrabble with the great Chuck Woolery.
Let me check if there was a Card Sharks.
TV on DVD and Blu-ray this week. The Magicians Season 5 and the complete series available for you this week. And the complete series of Sci-Fi's 12 Monkeys as well. Let's get into some music talk. If you remember Christina Perri, she had a song called Jar of Hearts that was big a few years ago. She is expecting baby number 2. So mazel tov to her. If I say the name David Johansen, does that mean anything to you?
It sounds familiar, but there was a current Card Shark. It is back.
Okay.
All right.
What if I said Buster Poindexter?
I know that name.
That's David Johansen. He was once in a band called the New York Dolls.
Okay.
Martin Scorsese working on a documentary about them for Showtime.
Okay. Card Sharks was on ABC.
Okay.
Thank you.
The U.S. Postal Service is releasing a series of hip-hop stamps.
Really?
But it's weird because I saw them. It's not about hip-hop artists. It's about hip-hop roles, if you will.
So
it's very
they have
generic.
Ice-T.
So it's DJ,
Okay.
MC, B-boy, and graffiti art. It's very generalized, which I think is weird.
So they're not going to have Ice-T Cop Killer on that?
No, probably not, because that's not rap. That's metal.
Okay.
Hamilton. That soundtrack, number 2 on the Billboard chart, the highest charting Broadway cast album since the original cast of Hair did the re-release in 1989.
Wow.
Alex,
did you watch that show yet?
I have not. It's 2 hours and 40 minutes, so I've got to really commit myself.
Let me ask you, when was that supposed to come to Dallas?
It did 2 years ago. Remind me off here to tell you about story about that.
Okay.
Oh, you forgot to tell me off air to remind me. We got a lot to talk about. But Alex said I think he's seen it like 4 times now on Disney Plus. So,
is it good? Does he really live it?
He saw it 4 times. Don, what do you think?
Maybe he had to watch for Sensational Shawnee and she wanted to watch it.
No,
I didn't know.
He did it by choice.
Okay, well, sometimes it would,
And the band formerly known as Lady Antebellum. Just pivot. Because I don't know if you heard this story. There was an uproar about their name. Look up Antebellum, you'll get it. So they shortened it to what everybody calls them, which is Lady A. But there's already a soul singer who's had that name since the early 80s.
Lady A. Okay.
So now they're like, no, we want to be Lady A. And she's like, no, that's my name that I've used. Her name is Anita something. They're going to court, Don.
Well, I believe it.
Okay, and I read an interview with the Lady A. And she said she was even like, you could be Lady A the band, and I can be Lady A the artist, and we'd be cool. And they're like, no, we want the name. And she's like, no, I don't think you understand. So we're going to court. And somebody's going to write somebody a check. Because that's what we need clogging up the justice system.
I can see a lawsuit on that.
Music new releases this week.
Well, you have to look at the WWE with the WWF. Yeah.
It's weird because I've got some stuff where before they started blurring out the logo, it's very, very strange. Juice WRLD's posthumous Legends Never Die releases this Friday. Margot Price with a new album called That's How Rumors Get Started. Mike Shinoda from Linkin Park has an album called Dropped Frames Volume 1. My Morning Jacket is back with The Waterfall 2 because there were many unanswered questions from The Waterfall. Don't go chasing those. Ray Wiley Hubbard with a new album called Pure Luxury. Don't. Just
brought it up.
Just don't. Rufus Wainwright. You really have to enunciate his name. Called Unfollow the Rules, and the Jayhawks are back this week with XOXO. We talked about Hamilton earlier. Let's talk about them in movie talk real quick. The Hamilton release, even though it has an MPAA rating, will not qualify for Oscars. Apparently, there was a rule added in 1997. Because it's a filmed version of a stage play, not a feature-length film, it does not qualify for Oscar contention.
Yeah.
I thought that was an interesting little tidbit this week. Did you ever watch the movie Train to Busan?
No.
This was basically a zombie film. It's getting a sequel called Peninsula. It's going to release on August the 7th, and then it's going to go to the Shudder app next year, which is a big horror type app.
Okay.
So let's see. Candyman has been moved to October 16th. Will not be seeing it. The Forever Purge, your next Purge film,
really
is now set for July 9th of next year.
Yay!
Hard pass.
I like The Purge.
Halloween Kills, your next Halloween film. Apparently the trailer's out. I've not seen the trailer, but we did get an email from one of our vendors this week. It has been pushed back to October 15th of 2021, but in a very interesting addition, the next Halloween film is going to get an IMAX release. Thought that was kind of an interesting note.
Does it have like Jamie Lee Curtis and stuff?
No, this is the newest reboot. Was she in that one?
Yeah.
Maybe,
one that did a couple of years ago, which is like, the Halloween 40 years after the fact or whatever, she was in that.
Okay, I didn't see it, Don. You know I watch these movies.
Okay.
I saw the first one.
Okay.
Because I was like 10.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's see. The guy that directed Invisible Man, Lee Whannell,
okay,
he is going to be directing Ryan Gosling's The Wolfman.
So Ryan Gosling's doing a Wolfman.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We talked about it a couple of weeks ago briefly. We didn't have a lot of information. Now we're seeing that this is going to be the director. Charlize Theron, who is the current It Girl, as she always is, because, again, she's the star of the old guard. She has said that Atomic Blonde 2 is in development, and Netflix wants it.
What did you think about it?
I haven't seen it. It's on my list.
Yeah, it was.
I've heard that the soundtrack is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
You need to check that out. Bird Box 2 also in development, if you didn't get enough of that.
The Bird Box. Somebody answered questions.
Well,
Yeah. Bird in the box.
Tron 3 has had movement. Jared Leto involved.
I don't know, because that last Tron with, what's his face?
I liked it. It was Tron Legacy. I enjoyed it.
Wasn't they Bridges? Jeff
Yep.
Bridges.
Well, he was in the first one.
Yeah, I know, but I didn't. Yeah.
And apparently we're getting a new Peter Pan live action film. Jude Law in talks to play Captain Hook.
Okay.
I'm on board with this.
I'm good with Jude Law.
We've got movies on DVD and Blu-ray this week, if you can believe it, and stuff that still makes me feel old. We have the 25th anniversary. You ready for this, Don?
Yeah.
Well, the 25th anniversary of Clueless.
Nah.
Happens this week.
Oh, Lord.
A movie that I think, did you watch Body Cam? The thing with I think that Mary J. Blige was in this.
I think I may have. Hold on. I think I did see that. Hold on. You double check, because I don't want to be wrong. But yeah, I think that's the one where. Hold on.
Well, while you're looking that up, there's another movie coming out on DVD and Blu-ray this week called VH Yes. It's a bizarre retro comedy shot entirely on VHS and beta, which follows 12-year-old Ralph as he accidentally records home videos and his favorite late-night talk shows over his parents' wedding tape.
Oops. Okay.
Thomas Lennon's in this.
I think I did see Body Cam, yeah.
Okay, and that's Mary. Is that Mary J. Blige that's in that?
Hold on. Yeah, it was Blige.
And Nat Wolff, yes. This is when a routine traffic stop results in the unexplained grisly death of her colleague. A cop played by Mary J. Blige realizes the footage of the incident will play for her eyes only. As the attacks mount, she races to understand the supernatural force behind them. This is like a train wreck of like 9 different movies. Criterion Collection this week, The Lady Eve, but here's the big one. This I'm very excited about. If this had come out a couple of weeks ago, I mean, it's on my wish list, but all 5 Bruce Lee movies in a box set from Criterion.
Really?
The Big Boss, Fist of Fury, Way of the Dragon, Enter the Dragon, Game of Death.
All 5.
I am all in.
You're in on that one.
Oh, I love Bruce Lee.
I'm still waiting for them to come out with like on Stars or Epics with the Quiet Place 2 because I never said that was hit right before the pandemic.
It hasn't gotten its theatrical release yet. That's the thing.
No, it got theatrical and then the pandemic hit.
Right, but I don't think it's going to be a while before they do anything with it. I think they're going to wait for a wider release because they want to show it in theaters more.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, because they're gonna have to delay it for 6 months. I don't know because it was released and then the pandemic hit. Boom.
Some quick tech talk stuff. The smash hit video game The Last of Us Part 2. Everybody I've talked to that's played this game has had nothing but amazing things to say about it. Sold 3 million copies in its first 3 days.
Really?
Yep.
And what's it called? The
Last of Us Part 2 is the sequel. It's actually being developed for HBO as a series, I believe.
Okay.
Far Cry 6 is coming early next year for fans of Far Cry. Giancarlo Esposito involved in that. Sirius XM is looking to acquire the podcast app Stitcher. Apparently.
Trying to get Stitcher, really.
They're looking to buy it. So, Apple's buying up a lot. Sirius XM's buying up a lot. We're always here for you. Just like Vocal. We are steadfast. We love you guys. And we're here for you.
If the check is big enough, we'll get bought out too.
Well, leave that one be. All right? These are our people you're messing with.
We'll still do the show, but we might be bought out.
We have information on WWE 2K Battlegrounds. You can see the commercials for it. Have you seen the new trailer?
No.
It starts with Daniel Bryan in an army helicopter, and they're playing his theme.
Da, 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 da. Okay.
Like, I see what you did there. Apocalypse Now, whatever. It's going to be $39.99. It'll be available September 18th.
Okay.
So we'll see how that goes.
And that's for like all the PlayStations.
And if you pre-order it, you will get downloadable content that will include Edge.
Really? Mm-hmm. So Edge is back doing the games.
And probably the biggest tech talk story of the week. There's a great book by Ernest Cline called Ready Player One.
Yeah.
I loved this book.
Yeah,
I
know.
This book is great. Movie angered me.
Oh, yeah, I know.
You remember.
I know.
Ernest Cline has said the sequel is ready. Ready Player 2 will hit bookshelves November 24th. So let's get ready, kids. I love that book. So have you read the book?
No.
Go read the book.
Do you have a copy?
I have it digitally.
Okay.
I had it on my iPad. But no, you can get it next to nothing at half price books.
Okay.
Now. But go read Ready Player One. I think you'd really dig it.
Because I go back and listen to her. It's still on iTunes.
But no, it's not.
What?
We have a problem with our RSS feed. I'm trying to fix.
Oh,
yeah.
I thought you could still, if you downloaded it and you want to re-listen, because I still have it on my phone.
So do I, but it's not downloading anything right now. I'm working on fixing that. But yeah, you know what else I realized this a couple of weeks ago?
What's it?
Do you remember what holds the record for the longest iTunes exclusive?
It was the Moses thing or whatever.
Exodus.
Yeah.
Or, I'm sorry, Gods of Egypt.
Yeah. Okay.
You know who the director of that was?
No.
It's the same guy that directed The Crow.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
Friend of the show, Devin Pike, actually ran into him. They had a conversation, and he talked about, the movie you saw is not the movie that I tried to direct.
Oh, the Exodus?
No, Gods of Egypt.
Okay. The Gods of Egypt. Okay.
Yeah, that I railed on that for 40 minutes? I think we
yeah.
on that.
Yeah, you're going at it bad. So the director's saying that's not what I wanted.
Alex Proya says, that's not what you saw is not what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
That was so terrible.
Well, I thought he's the director. He's the one that makes that decision.
Not always. Sometimes the director has final cut. Sometimes the studio has final cut.
Okay.
That's why they call it final cut, because it's after all the edits. For a director to have final cut, it's very difficult. You've got to have some serious skins on the wall.
Like Spielberg.
Yeah, Spielberg, Lucas, people they're going to have final cut because they are who they are. All right, you ready for the list?
Yeah.
Today is a very special day. If you've ever watched this show around this time of year, you know this is our season finale of season 10, if you can believe it. What that means is 10 years ago tomorrow, almost to the day, because the original show was on Tuesdays. 10 years ago tomorrow, the Clubhouse first became a thing when it was called the Clubhouse with Rob and Cody. We did it from my office at our old house. So every year we like to celebrate So what I'm calling this year's list, to quote Jeremy Piven in Grosse Point Blank, 10 years, man! 10 years we've been doing this thing.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're here because you're you're probably the most tenured member of the cast at this point.
Except for you.
Well, it's my creation.
Yeah. You're the constant, but
I'm the only one that's been on every episode.
Probably right now I'm on probably number 2 or something like that.
Yeah, you are number 2. There's no you are the most tenured member of the cast after me.
Yeah.
So I thought we every year we do the thank yous.
Yeah.
And we don't do it at Christmas time because that's not our anniversary. This is our anniversary. So this is when we do the thank yous. And so I did this 10 years, 10 thank yous. Makes sense. So number 10, I want to go back all the way to the beginning. The first 4 episodes of this show are probably still there. When Cody and I started the show, we knew nothing about how to publish a podcast. So what we did is we put the shows on archive.org. And then we just put links on Facebook. Like we had a Twitter feed, but we weren't doing anything with it because I wasn't real big in Twitter at that point. There was no Instagram. It was Twitter and Facebook. That was it. This was the losing days of MySpace. So the first 4 episodes we did on archive.org, which included the very first, what we called the Ladies Wrestling Roundtable. We had 2 microphones. Because I had a very small mixer where I had my microphone hooked into the mixer, and then Cody used my wireless. Back then, my desk, which is still the same desk I have to this day, but it was, instead of being around the corner, it was on the corner. So the very first episode, and you can go back and look for an episode called Secret Origins. I actually replay that episode because I have every episode ever. We weren't even facing each other.
Yeah, you're back to back. Yeah.
And I've told this story before. So those first 4 episodes we just did on archive.org. And then friend of the show, Richard Sheely, came along. I just had lunch with him yesterday, as a matter of fact. We had a great time. He started working with us on setting up an RSS feed, which the RSS feed wouldn't come into play, I think, till 2012. It was January 2012. The very first iTunes episode I remember because the title of that episode came from a friend of the show, Russ, who said Lady Gaga looks like a young Ethel Merman. I don't know why I remember that, but I remember it to this day. But starting with episode 5, we went to Ustream. Back then, Ustream was a free platform. We could have done video if we wanted to, but we always thought that we had the perfect faces for radio. So then IBM bought out Ustream and said, you need to pay us. And I said, no, I really don't. So number 10, we send a shout out to archive.org and Ustream and iTunes. Because without those 3 platforms, we're not here. We're just not. The fact that I get to live one of my dreams of doing radio in this day and age is amazing. And I'm so thankful every day. Number 9, we've got to send a shout out to some alumni of the show, if you will. L.A., Doc, Steven.
Wait, we want to thank L.A.?
Of course we do.
Even him?
Steven, Russ, Greg, Clay, Adrian, everybody who's ever sat in on the show. Brent Peoples, my little brother, has done the show before. Jason B., we did a spotlight episode with him. She's coming.
Okay. Well, she's one.
My sister's going to be a little bit higher on the list, okay?
Okay.
People that have been supported players on the show that have just had fun with it. Andrew,
Ginger
Ninja himself.
King of Bowling.
It's a clubhouse. I swear, you are socially distanced, but I have stuff I can throw at you.
You have to thank LA for that one.
Steel chair. But the people that have guested on the show over the years have made the show that much more fun. Because if it was just us every week in and out for 533 episodes now, and that's just the main show, not the 580 something or 480 something iTunes exclusives we did and home shows, not to mention the almost 60 episodes we've done of the Cheap Popcast. And we've done over 1,100 of these, which is insane to think about. And this is the 37th episode of this season. So if you think about it, we've only missed, we've done 8 months worth of shows in a year, which is pretty, we're pretty far ahead of the curve for most shows. We don't do reruns. We're not going to give you best of. You want best of? Just go watch the show. The
only time is when you replayed the first episode.
Yep, when we did Secret Origins, because that at some point I had to do.
Yeah, of course.
Or we've done Spotlight.
You still did an intro though, but
because I wanted to put it in proper perspective. Because if people just started hearing it, they'd be like, "Why is this information from 2010?" Number 8, Fox and Hound in Richardson, Texas. In January of 2011, Fox and Hound decided they were going to start doing WWE pay-per-views. This was long before the network, when you had to buy every pay-per-view every month. So the day after the Rumble, a friend of the show, David Razazada, who's also been a guest on the show, he called me and he says, "Hey, man, Fox and Hound is doing the pay-per-views." Because this was after the boom. Everything had died down. Hooters wasn't even showing them anymore.
And then we had to find place. It switched from place to place.
So
and then it died at that place.
Right.
It was
after the wing house shut down, which was after Pugsley's.
Yeah.
So I went to Fox and Hound and I told them who we were. We'd been on the air 4 months or so at that point. We'd already done one remote show, and we're going to talk about that here in a minute. And I said, "Hey, what would you guys think? We won't charge you, just, pay for dinner." That first pay-per-view, they had 7 people, and none of them were drinkers. I said, "I think we can do better than that." So Elimination Chamber 2011, which I'll never forget because they were advertising Team Mark Merrow versus Team Triple H. That was Elimination Chamber. No, that was Survivor Series 97. We had over 30 people in that room. And it just built from there. To the point where I don't remember what WrestleMania it was. I want to say it was 27. No, because this was 36. So probably 27, 28, 29 maybe. We had all 3 rooms full.
2012. For sure.
You couldn't breathe in there.
Yeah. That
was where you became a part of the show.
It wasn't even before that, if I remember right. But yeah.
No, Fox and Hounds where you really got involved with the show.
Yeah.
You and I had talked. We had known who each other were, but we had never conversed. Yeah. We started talking. You wound up in the chat room on Ustream. That's how you got involved with the show, because you were feeding us information.
That's when I came to fact checker.
And I said, "We need a fact checker. This is the guy. He's always in the chat room." And before we knew it, you were becoming part of the show just on a very part-time basis whenever we needed to fill in. And then you just kind of morphed into where you are now. But without Fox and Hound, none of that happens. We don't meet the cast of characters that has come through these microphones in the last decade. And I'm always thankful for Royce, Timms, and everybody over at Fox and Hound that took care of us. Of course, the network came along and they didn't have the tech to keep up with it, which is really why we stopped doing those shows. Plus the fact that once the network happened, their attendance went way down because it was a lot cheaper for people to just pay $10 a month and watch them at home. So we hold nothing against Fox and Hound. We're thankful that they're there every day. And they're still there. I think that's the only Fox and Hound left.
Really?
Because the one on Midway's gone.
Okay.
Because I always drive Midway home. They were a big catalyst for us. Number 7, everybody, whether it's Allied Integrated Marketing, Dallas Summer Musicals, the AT&T Performing Arts Center, Fonz PR, Maroc. Who am I leaving out, Don?
Oh, God,
from a vendor standpoint.
I mean,
we'll get to her.
No, I'm just
talking about from a vendor standpoint.
Okay, so let's go through Theater Center, the Wiley, Dallas Summer
Musicals.
Musicals.
That's all AT&T.
From
Dallas Summer Musicals.
Cindy Evans, all that.
Mm-hmm.
Greg Fonz.
Fonz PR.
Maroc,
Allied. Who am I forgetting? Anybody?
I'm trying to keep...
Our vendors is where we're going with this. Yeah. They're the ones that give us the opportunity to do movie screenings and do press nights at theater productions. We know that they've been hurting through all this, and just know that we've got your backs, guys. And as soon as you're ready, we're ready too. It all started with Allied.
Yep.
And they were the first ones that said, you know what? We'll take on your little show. Come on, come hang out with us and do screenings. And that was 7 years ago next month?
Yeah, it was a Grandmaster.
It was 2013?
Yeah.
Then that was in August, I remember.
Yeah.
No, you did the last song first.
Yeah, that's the first.
The first one we all did was
the
the Grandmaster. And since then, over almost 500 movies and stage productions and things of its ilk that we've been able to do and talk about. Written reviews. We're one of the very few shows that does audio reviews for them. One of the biggest compliments I think the show has ever been given was whomever it was that originally had Disney that came up to you and said that the studio really liked what we were doing. Susan Jacobs. Yep. Yeah. I'm glad you said that because I want to shout out to Susan Jacobs too. That she said the studio was loving what we were doing. Yeah. And I was like, dude, that's Disney. Yeah. Like that blew my mind. And our vendors are all such amazing people and they take care of us and they do more for us than they ever have to on multiple fronts. Tanya from Allied has come see my band play. They've always been so amazing. Our vendors are great people, support the arts, support theater, support everything. Garland High School, things of that nature. Number 6, and this is a little bit before your time, but you've heard me talk about him, Big Don. Big Don has also been a part of Who Needs Sleep 2 years ago. Don's still dealing with health complications. Don Ellison, he is a guy I've known, good Lord, almost 20 years now. And Don used to have a show called Race Talk, 39X. I'll never forget it. I actually did a voiceover for one of his events. And it played on TV, which is kind of neat. Don is a guy, this is where it's going to start to get to me, so I'm going to warn you now. Don is a guy that would literally give you the shirt off his back if you needed it. His wife, Callie, is an amazing human. Getting to interview them at Who Needs Sleep 2018 was one of the biggest honors I've ever had because he was a mentor to this show in the very beginning. He gave us a lot of pointers. He gave us our first remote show. He helped us really kind of get the show off the ground, and we would be remiss if we didn't thank him at every possible opportunity. And Don, know that I'm praying for you and that I love you. I can't wait to see you soon, okay? Number 5, Kelly Kitchens, Gary Murray, Dallas International Film Festival, Asian Film Festival, USA Film Festival, Video Fest, Garland High School. Who am I leaving out? We talk all the time on the show that there are 2 people that, if it weren't for them, this show is not what it is. And it's Kelly Kitchens and Gary Murray. Kelly is one of those people that she just doesn't ever take credit, you know? Kelly Kitchens, I will give credit to every day of my life as long as I walk this earth. But we don't have Kelly if we don't have Gary. Gary's the one that introduces us to Kelly. I'll never forget sitting in Chick-fil-A that night, watching you guys talk about The Hobbit because I hadn't seen it yet. And listening to Gary talk about how fake Middle Earth looked, and I kept thinking to myself, that's not a real place, right? And then you came to me and said, Gary asked me the other day, and that's why I'm glad you're here tonight, because you're such a huge part of this show. Gary wants to know why we don't just review movies. And I was like, what? Get our own. Right, because we had, you had been his +1 on multiple occasions. We had reviewed movies. Yeah. But it was like we'd go see the movie and then go home back to my studio and review. Because the first one we did was Man of Steel. Yeah. And I was like, it'd be cool. I don't know who'd want to let us do that for them. But put it out there. The worst they can do is say no, which is pretty much the theme of this show over the last decade. The worst they can do is say no. So Gary is the one that gets us introduced. He is truly the Kevin Bacon of this show. And we miss you every day, Gary. We really do.
I talked to his family the other day. They're okay.
Good. Please always give them our best.
Yeah.
I still have all of his Led Zeppelin records. I will never get rid of them. I want you to know that. Gary introduces us to Kelly. Kelly introduces us to Bart. Bart Weiss, who is, as we always say, one of our favorite humans. Yeah. Bart Weiss is the brainchild behind Dallas Video Fest. Dallas Video Fest was the first film festival we ever got to cover.
Boy, that was interesting. The GOAT!
Yeah, the GOAT. I remember Kelly coming to us and going, would you guys want to do this? And again, we're not going to tell somebody no. Yeah. You know, we're still the only true podcast that has covered the Dallas International Film Festival at the film festival, not after, during. We're the only podcast that's ever done live remotes for Video Fest. We're the only podcast that's done the Asian Film Festival, to my knowledge. The one that still blows my mind is that more podcasts aren't doing live remotes at the diff. I still don't get that because of what the diff is. The diff provided us with the most insane moment in the history of this show that I do not think will ever be beat. The John Landis incident. I don't think will ever be topped. You know, Glenn Morshower comes awful close.
Yeah.
You know, Leah Thompson comes awful close. Sam Jones comes awful close. The man you intercepted on his way to the bathroom.
Charlie Pride.
Greg Robertson. I'm sorry. From Bare Naked Ladies comes awful close. Charlie Pride, awful close.
New up-and-comer singer.
Mary Lynn Rice Cub comes awful close. Nancy Cartwright comes awful close. We've had sports Hall of Famers. We've had Oscar winners. We've had Emmy winners. We've had just a parade of people who could not have been more amazing to
Diego
us.
Luna from Star Wars, Jorge Gutierrez.
Jorge, who gets us Diego Luna.
Right before Star Wars. Bro.
And it was right after the trailer hit.
That was the night the Gary got hit.
Yes, it was.
But it was also the night right before the Rogue One.
Yeah.
I remember.
No, it was right after the trailer dropped that
Yeah,
weekend.
but it was a couple months before Rogue One got released.
Yeah. It was,
oh, we want to bring up this movie that you're going to be doing.
If you ever want to hear something funny, go back and listen to that and just envision, because we didn't touch Rogue One until about 18 minutes into the interview.
Yeah.
And I love that story because for people that don't know, when we do a film festival, Don gets the guests for us. And Don will write down who they are, what page in the media guide they're from to help us prep, because we don't ever know who we're going to get because we don't know who's going to be there. And then Don, once we start the interview, Don will tell me how long I have. And sometimes we go a little bit longer and sometimes we have to go a little bit shorter, but Don's really good at helping us stay on track. Well, Jorge Gutierrez, and if you don't know who he is, he's a guy who did a movie called The Book of Life, and he works for a company called Real FX, which is actually a local company here in Dallas. Book of Life, amazing film. And Diego Luna's in that film. Well, Diego was part of Diff that year because he directed a movie that had Danny Glover in it.
Big Pig or something like that.
Yeah, and then he won for like the best picture of the festival. Well, Jorge brings Diego to us.
Yeah, I got them both. That was
right. They both came together,
and he was on the year before that. Jorge was.
Yeah, that was Jorge's third year.
Yeah.
So as you walk, I'll never forget. As you walk away, because I'm like, we're gonna have like 5 minutes with. Because he just won the award. You know, people want to talk to him. As you walk away, you hold up your legal pad, and it says "Talk as long as you want."
Oh, I remember that.
And I'm like, oh my God. I get to talk to Diego Luna as long as I want. Let's go. And so imagine Chad sitting to my right, as he does when we do these. Jorge is across from Chad. I am across from Diego. And Jorge is being incredibly gracious because he knows this is Diego's moment, but I'm trying to keep him involved too. And I can feel Chad just staring at me. Like, you're not talking to Star Wars. because that's all anybody wanted to know about. But I didn't want to do it because I wanted to talk about what he was currently doing.
Kind of like we did with Glenn Morshower and
Right.
Palm City before.
And Leah Thompson wanted to talk about her daughter.
Yeah.
And so about the 18-minute mark, I'm like, okay, I feel like if I don't ask you about this, I would be remiss in my geek duties. And he just started laughing. And he said, just know there's certain things I can talk about and there's certain things I can't. And he was so gracious. And he was so amazing. And that dude partied hard that
I remember
night.
when I gave the sheet to Chad and it said Diego Luna. Yeah, that guy wrote white. and he's just sitting here. He grabs a piece of paper, like this is the piece of paper, thinking who's next, and just he literally just
I can see him doing that.
And he looks at me and I go, and he's like,
And that
yeah,
was where you drew our logo on the board.
yeah.
That was that, and that was where you caught Henry Thomas, and
Yeah.
you and I have a picture with him. It's just amazing the things that we've gotten to do.
Yeah.
And a lot of it,
But the only thing that
We've just
sucks
kind of
about that is
fallen into-
right after they got off, that's when
you got the call, because that happened on air.
Yeah.
And you called me from the hospital, and Gary, we miss you, brother.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah.
We didn't always see eye to eye, and you and I have
know.
had more arguments than we care to count.
Yeah.
But at the end of it all, you are a part of this family.
Yeah.
And to Gary's family, we still miss him every day.
Yeah.
You know, he's our extra guy.
Yeah.
You know, and
he always did the diff. He was always a guest at the end, and
Bart at Video Fest, who's always been amazing to us. The Schuberts, who give us the chance to do Garland every year. So much fun. Number 4 is everybody who's ever been a major part of this cast. We start with Cody. Cody and I did the show for the first 15 months. I still talk to him every once and again. We're still friends. We've always have been.
yeah.
Cody, it's weird because Cody and I won't talk for 6 months, and then he'll call me and we'll talk for 3 hours. I've known Cody for 20 years, and he and I started this thing, and he knows if he ever has the gumption, he can sit in that chair whenever he wants to. I thought about calling him, but then I wasn't sure who was going to be here and who wasn't, and things of that nature. When he left, because he had some family obligations, Chad slid right into that chair. And to be perfectly transparent, this was originally Chad's idea. I didn't know what podcasts were. Chad Womack is the person that said to me, podcast is something you can do. You just retired from the DJ industry. You've got the equipment. We just need to do some research on how to do this. But in the beginning, I wasn't sure that Chad was the right fit for my co-host because we had the wrestling and the sports. When Cody stepped away, Chad, to his credit, without, hesitation or anything, he stepped right in, sat right down, and we never missed a beat. It helped when we had more people, so we had a better rounding in the room. So I was really doing my best to get a balance of this person's strengths lie here, this person's strengths lie here, and it's up to me to just kind of keep it moving as the host. Chad stepped away just a little over a year ago. He's doing his own thing now, and he's loving it. Misty, who was our original marketing person, whom I love to death. Misty is an amazing human, and I don't see her enough. She kind of helped us formulate opinions in the beginning of where we were going with this thing. Because we knew we loved sitting in the driveway talking pop culture and stuff. We just didn't know how to translate it. She and Charla and Tanya were the first ever ladies wrestling roundtable. Misty, a big Randy Orton fan. Charla, a big John Cena fan. Tanya, a big Jeff Hardy fan. I would love to have my sister in the studio sometime. She just doesn't like the video aspect of it. But I'm going to help her get over that because I want my sister on this show. These are all people that have helped push us to the next point. In some cases, helped push us to the next level. But at a minimum, helped us to get from point A to point B and then from point B to point C and things of that nature. And if for no other part of it, just to support us and tell us, keep doing what you're doing. You look like you're having fun and you're giving good information. Now let's get to the medal round. Number 3. This is where it's going to get weird, so I apologize again. You 3. I always tell people, without the audience, I'm just a dude running his yap. When I train leaders, I tell them that. I'm like, without your team, you're just a dude running his yap. That's all you are. Leaders lead, but they make sure that their team is with them. I talked about that in my poetry reading this week, that there are leaders and there are managers, and they're two different things. A manager handles administrative tasks. A leader handles people. Every manager has to be a leader, but not every leader has to be a manager. I have to juggle both of those things because this is my show. But without the 3 of you, we've seen how that goes. It wasn't terrible. I'm at the point now, I'm far enough away from the solo adventures that I can say they weren't terrible.
The first time you just should have called me. I would have came over.
Neither here nor there.
Okay.
But it's okay, but it's so much better when we're all together.
Yeah.
It just is. And you guys have done so much. You coming on, we don't have the shows that we do at film festivals. They're not nearly as good without you. Alex and I say it all the time. When you're on, you're unstoppable. It's amazing. You blow my mind at film festival, those things. Because you have that thing that I don't.
Yeah.
It's very hard for me to talk to.
And let me say this, that I'm on those film festivals. I'm on the show for probably, let's say, a 2-hour show. I'm on that show for about 4 minutes.
I'd give you about 10 because you do the close with us.
Yeah.
But
that's
you
fine.
say hello and you're gone,
Yeah.
and you're the hardest working man in the room.
Yeah.
I challenge anybody in the press corps. I would put any of them up against you.
But that's what I love doing.
Right, because this is what you do. I'm not good at talking to strangers. I don't break ice well. Now, once the ice is broken, we're good. But I don't have that thing.
When they
that
sit
you
down
have.
in front of you and they want to talk, hey,
Right.
yeah, you could go.
I like to think that that's my forte.
Yeah.
Of getting. I mean, because I've lost track of the number of times we've interviewed somebody, and some of it we've aired and some of it we haven't. Of people are like, how did you get me to talk about that? I'm not allowed to talk about that, I'm like, because I'm just letting you talk.
Yeah.
Jen Rome joined the cast on an Oscar show. And having that constant lady of the house really helps give that perspective, which I really, really like. The give and take that the 3 of you have with each other, it works. And that's what I love about it. The chemistry works. Alex joined the show a year or 2 ago. And it's just the sports knowledge alone that he brings to the table brings us to another level. He's a great co-host. He and I have now gotten to the point where he knows when I need a breather. And he can run. And I know when I need to give him leeway to run. The chemistry on this show is unmatched. I've had people say what they love about our show is they watch our show and we treat it like we have 3 million listeners. Because we should. We should treat it that way. We should treat this show with the respect it deserves. Because people don't understand the amount of work that goes into a show like this. We don't just show up and start talking. I'm doing work all week long, whether it's watching wrestling shows, checking websites for news, just absorbing 2 to 3 hours a day of ESPN just to get finding the content that we can take together. And whether I'm texting you guys or we're talking on the phone or emailing back and forth, what about this? What about that? You're sending me, hey, Rob, can we talk about this? Or I'm like, Don, what do you think about this? The fact that it's so natural and that everybody has their say, and nobody, to my hope, and I may be assuming here, but my hope is that nobody ever feels left out. I want this show to be inclusive to everybody that's on it, because you guys are all three so important to what we do that I don't want you to ever think that you're not a part of what we're doing. And we also have the relationship that if you ever felt that way, you can just come to me and you can say it. And you know that I won't get upset, and we can have intelligent conversations.
Is, you just say, I hate ultimatums. That's the one thing I learned. But on the other hand, I could still bring up something and say respectfully, this is an issue that.
And if I agree with you, and if I don't agree with you, I'll tell you why.
Exactly.
And that's what, to me, that's important for you to understand the why behind of things, because that way it's not just no, Don. It's okay. I can see why this would be a bad idea. We give each other a perspective that we wouldn't have otherwise.
Yeah.
Number 2, you see it right there. When Ustream folded, they didn't fold when they tried to charge us. And we were like, look, we don't make money to begin with. Yeah. We decided we were just going to go iTunes. It was Who Needs Sleep 2018. So it was the second one. We had done our show at both of those. And Ted came to me, Ted Price, and he said, hey, man, why don't you bring your show to Vocal? And I was like, we've never done video. We need to work a deal out. He's like, we'll get the deal done. Don't worry about that. Do you want to bring your show to Vocal? And I said, well, let me talk to the guys, because I can't speak for them. We talked for a couple of days. We decided, okay, let's do this. This is the next logical step in our progression as a show. And that was almost 2 years ago. You can believe it. Might be close. Was it 2018 or was it 2017? It's been a while.
Yeah.
And so we started working how we're going to do the show here. Well, not here, because it was back on Mockingbird, the old studio. And that's where we met Jay.
I think it was 2017.
Was it 2017?
Yeah.
Jay, do you know for sure?
I think it was 2017, yeah.
Say that again?
Was it 2017 or 2018 that we started doing this? Here.
I believe it was 18.
Okay. Jay's been our engineer from Jump Street. Jay has been the guy behind the curtain since we teamed up with Vocal. Everybody at Vocal, whether it's staff, whether it's other shows where we've run into other hosts, no matter what it is, Vocal, it was the perfect fit for us because Vocal's a family. There are people on this network that I consider great friends that I would love to have on our show sometime. And Jay's such an integral part to what we do that I'm thankful every day that we get to come here and do this show in this gorgeous facility. Makes us look like $1 million. I'm not worth about $1.25. That we have somebody like Jay that can let me focus on the content and not on the technical side of it, like we did for years in the home studio. And they help us promote. And the fact that they came with us last year to the Dallas International Film Festival, that was so much fun, having the video component to that, even though it was not the most ideal environment for us that year because everybody was inside because it was storming outside. I am so thankful for Vocal every day. And Jay, we could not be more thankful that you are a part of this because, like, you don't even have to grab a microphone, but you choose to, and your perspective that you bring, it just makes everything better. And I know we tell you all the time, and there will never be a day that we do not tell you how appreciative we are for you and Ted and Ren and Jimmy and everybody at Vocal for what you guys do for our little show. And you should know that every day.
Yeah, I mean, that's first, yeah, very nice of you to say. I know it's only been 2 years, but yeah, you guys have you guys have been fantastic. I mean, you guys are extremely. I mean, couldn't be nicer. You guys are. You're always prepared. You're ready to pivot if something comes up. I mean, you're very, very easy to work with. All of you guys, all four of you, and it's been a joy. It has definitely been a joy to work with you guys. Like I said, it's only been 2 years, but you guys have. I mean, you're providing information to people, and you're doing it in a great way that's fun and enjoyable and entertaining, and I think that comes off very well on camera. So
I agree. We have so, and as long as we're still having fun, we're going to keep doing it, and that's the main thing. And you guys' support's meant the world to me, and then the fact that Vocal came to us and wanted to take the Cheap Podcast and make it its own thing, it was mind blowing for me. We don't take breaks. We don't take commercial breaks. We don't do anything like that. So basically what we do is we produce enough content for a 4-hour radio show between our two shows. And that's one of the biggest compliments people have paid me. It's like, you guys do this without taking a break. I'm like, no, because we got a lot to talk about. But the most important vital thing for the last 10 it's hard for me to even say 10 years. The most vital part is you. Plain and simple. Whether this is your first time watching us or the 533rd time watching us, you guys are the reason we do this. I don't know what about our show makes you think you want to spend an hour and a half on your Sunday night with us or whenever you choose to watch us, but I'm thankful. I'm humbled. Because to get the feedback I get from people that have said, hey man, you guys have inspired me to do my own show. Or you guys told me about something that I didn't know about and now I want to know more about that thing and I've become a fan of that thing because I first heard about it from you guys. Or I was on your show. I mean, we've had people come up to us at film festivals and have been like, you guys were my first interview on a live format. And it helped me become more comfortable with reporters. Like, that melted me the first time I heard that. People like Jorge who seeks us out and not the other way around.
And who's a guy from, what's that? He's been in a couple diffs and stuff like that. Tyler or from...
oh, yeah.
From, what's that movie?
He and I are friends on Facebook.
Yeah, but what's his name? What's that movie that we is... Something Texas or something like that.
Yeah, Paris, Texas. Is
Paris,
that? Mm-hmm. That we've made these people along the way, and if we've affected your life in any way, hopefully good, we thank you. Because without you guys, again, we're just a bunch of people running their yaps. And we hope, and we pray, and we pray, and we hope that you guys are with us for at least another 10 years. 10 years, man. We've been doing this for a decade. And I'm still having as much fun as I did on July 13th, 2010, as I am on July 12th, 2020. I'm still just as giddy to come to the studio and sit in front of a microphone and face people and do it on camera for you guys. I'm just as happy as I was on day one. And as long as I stay this giddy and you guys stay this giddy, we're going to keep doing it. We hope you stay with us on this ride because there's so much cool stuff that we've got that we're working on for you guys. Whether it's subsets of the subset, whether it's special editions, whether it's special remotes when we finally get the world back on track. We hope we have provided for you a break from it all. And we're going to continue to try to do that for you. And we'd love to hear from you. We're going to do some stuff on our website coming up very, very soon. Because we got to get some more content. Because the world broke. But follow us on social media. Twitter is at Clubhouse Show. Go ahead.
I'm on a couple.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay.
Please do.
Okay. Of course, like to the people out there that listen again, and people give feedback, and all the people listen and everything. especially the ones in Denmark. Shout out to Denmark.
What's up, Denmark?
Hey, we got a big following in Denmark.
All right, I'll take it.
They love it. We're worldwide.
Holler.
And to the people in Nigeria, Lagos, shout out. One person that you should put on the list, which I'm going to put on the list,
Okay.
is our spouses.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Our families who deal with our shenanigans.
Yeah, the fantastic Faith Ford, who is always saying, "Yeah, you got a show today. You got to get there." You know, that maybe it's because it's getting me out of the house and she gets some free time. But no, and it's when she was always my plus one at this stuff now, and she really enjoys it, and she misses it too. But she was always very supportive. Before we even got married, she goes, "This was before me. I'm never going to take it away from you." So, but still, she, even before this pandemic hit, it was a lot of time, and still a lot of time that took away, and we've been cooped up in the house for, 3-4 months now. And, because of the pandemic, which, understandable, that's just the way life is, but, it's like right now, hey, you get a break and, get some alone time and stuff like that. But, and I'll say this to Faith, who, I love dearly, is that we're not at each other's throats, which is surprising. We're together all the time. I mean, all the time. And we're not at each other's throats, which is, so I think I lucked out with her, but,
She's a good woman.
yeah,
I'm a big fan.
But her being in, the family and everything, that's very, very supportive of this. And you say the cast of characters. What about you?
I'm just the host.
No, I know, but without you, there's no. I mean, let's just be honest. You're a great interviewer. I can't run the show. I'll sit back and I'll add a little thing, and I'll be me. We got the whole crew here, even Alex. And when it's Alex and you two, you get 90% of the words in, and I'm just trying to every once in a while. But
you have come so far.
But it's just me being me,
right? But you've come so far. Go back and listen to the early episodes that you were on, and then watch yourself now, dude. You have come so far in learning how to manage that.
Yeah.
And you've really come into your own and not tried to be this bigger than life version of yourself. You've learned how to tell people who you are. And that's why you're so vital to this.
And one is because of the faith too. Let's be honest.
I absolutely won't debate that.
But it's just like our first video fest, and you were flipping out saying, I got a run sheet, but and I said, we might have 5 guests, and you're like, what? And then it was a learning process. But after that first video fest, we got it down, and we were pro, and we've been pro since on that.
And you're vital to that.
Yeah. So, I mean, Jay, we love you. Without you being here, who else is going to do the control board back there? But to my family, to
Get my
friends,
drop board back very soon.
All right, I'm done. So let's close this up.
Twitter's at Clubhouse Show. Everything else is the Clubhouse Podcast. All 3 words in that order. You want us to tell everybody about the show. We want to keep growing the show. You guys tune in every week. You can follow me on social media if you would like. I would greatly appreciate it. Everything is that Rob Irvin. That is spelled ERVIN. Tomorrow night we do our next poetry reading at 7:30 Eastern on my personal Facebook page. My co-host for the show, Alex Barnhill. You can follow him at Vexploit, VEXPLOIT, on all social media. The lady of the house is Jen Rome on Instagram. She is Jen Rome Home, and that is spelled ROHM. And thank you again, Don, for that amazing gift that's in front of you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And check out all the great stuff on the Vocal Now Network and vocalnow.com. And also Pro Wrestling Tees / The Clubhouse Podcast.
That doesn't exist.
Oh, Pro Wrestling Tees.
It's the Cheap Popcast.
The Cheap Podcast. That's what I said.
The Cheap Popcast.
I'm going to get it right.
Buy t-shirts, buy t-shirts, buy t-shirts.
But on Twitter, I'm at Igbunu, IGBUN, you.
That's why he is who he is.
And also, in 10 years, I've had a couple moments, but one thing I know what a lexicon is. Go back. That's one of the biggest meltdowns. We got to talk about the meltdowns real fast. Oh, Lord. The app. Yeah, the lexicon. We have our moments,
I've mastered
too.
the art of the meltdown.
That's the lexicon. That proves we do not edit. We don't. But also email me, don@clubhousepodcast.com.
When the world gets back in order, if you're going to have an event you'd like us to come do for you, we'd love to email Don for that. You can email me questions, comments, concerns. Tell me to go pound sand. I'm Rob at theclubhousepodcast.com. Charlotte Parker's on Pinterest because we are morally obligated to say that, and our respective spouses are waiting for us at our respective homes. Again, we cannot be thankful enough for you guys. Now, next weekend, we're going to be doing the Zoom thing at noon Central because next weekend is pay-per-view weekend, but you're still going to get content from us because that'll be the season premiere of season 11. I still can't believe it, and it's awesome. So for Jay, for Alex, for Jen Rome, for Don, for the Empire, I'm Rob. Clubhouse is closed. Brittany Palmer's been bringing the content lately, and I'm digging it.